Warning: the following video contains images and themes that may be upsetting for some viewers. This video is a mix of a cautionary tale and what I think is quite interesting video footage. So I hatched a quail from a shell that was broken. I opened the air cell of a hatching quail egg because I thought that it was well overdue to hatch and I was worried that it was dead. But instead, I found a live little quail still growing. So I put the egg back in the incubator and I watched it. Unfortunately, despite the incubator being quite humid, I saw the membrane shrink and shrink. And I think with the shell being broken, conditions were just not humid enough for the little quail to finish growing. At this point, none of the other eggs in the incubator had started hatching either. So I opened another little air cell. And I found another live little quail, this time a bigger one, and it had internally pipped its membrane. And that means it poked it open with that little sharp bit on its beak. However, this quail wasn't finished developing either, which you can tell by these little blood vessels that are going through the membrane. So at this point, I finally figured out that my dates were wrong. Quails take around 17 to 18 days to hatch, and somehow I must have subtracted a week or more from that timeline. I hadn't written it down. I'd been watching and expecting these eggs to hatch well before they were supposed to be ready. I put this little quail back in the incubator again, and then a couple of days later, most of the remaining eggs hatched all on their own very nicely and were nice and healthy. And eventually, I helped this poor little one to fully hatch as well. I thought the mechanics with it missing the top were messing up with the leverage, so it wasn't going to be able to do it without me. After it dried off and fluffed up, it actually looked like it was doing pretty well, but then about 4 days, it started to get really lethargic and it died shortly after. So I learned my lesson to always write down the date that I start a hatch and don't assume I'll remember it. And I was reminded that quail do better if I leave them alone to hatch themselves, like these little guys.